Hey guys, it's Michelle, and I am back for another edition of Coaching from the Couch. And I am so excited to be talking with you guys today about something that I feel like I get asked about a whole lot, and that's really where the intersection is between like hustle and flow, between like ease and discipline, between what we see people doing is like, well, you just want to wake up and be yourself and get paid and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I actually live sort of that reality now, but there's definitely some hustle going on, right? Like, I don't want to misrepresent how I do business, right? I don't want to misrepresent like the hustle that's behind the flow, the discipline that's behind the ease. And I wanted to have a conversation with you guys about this. And so it's sort of like a runner's high, right? If you've ever had a runner's high where, and I apologize, I'm getting ready to go for a run now, which is why I look the way I do. But a runner's high is essentially, it's, you're running and you feel like you just can't go anymore, but you do, and you push through some like invisible sort of barrier. And what happens is, all of a sudden, like something kicks in, right? Like another gear, almost like a meditative state or something. And you just feel like you could run forever, right? But you're never going to get that runner's high unless you are pushing past like some normal limits. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like that's where I find flow in my business, where I can like wake up and just write and speak and be who I am and all of that. It's like, it's on the other side, not always daily, but certainly in the trajectory of my life, like it's on the other side of disciplined hustle, right? It's on the other side of pushing past like normal or natural barriers for me. It's on the other side of me deciding to push through whatever is normal or whatever is expected or wherever like mere mortals would stop, if that makes sense, right? It's just that's where you find that flow. And so when I see people saying like, you can just go online and blog and share your heart, or go and create ebooks on Amazon and just be yourself, and it's like, yes, I'm all with you, right? But you don't want to forget the mechanics of business, right? I feel like Women Who Wow, one of our unique qualifying, features is that we do kind of represent that intersection of ruthless authenticity, right? Definitely bringing all of yourself to market. I'm in the middle of a program called Naked right now, which is really amazing, but it is definitely where you want to bring all of yourself to market, 1000%, right? You don't want to hold anything back. You do want to work towards getting paid just for doing what you love to do, right? I'm all for that. But you cannot forget the mechanics of marketing and selling, right? It's never, I can't say never, I guess, but it's not going to be enough to just kind of float around and being yourself if you don't have the mechanics of a solid business behind you. I don't even know if that makes sense, but I feel like there's this anti-hustle movement, and it's largely in business, but I've seen it also in like fitness and stuff. Like, I don't want to push like that. I don't want to. I just don't want to push hard anymore. And I'm like, man, that's like death, right? You can do that when you die. You can just not push anymore. You can sit back. But if you're not growing, you're slowing. And so we are made, our bodies are made, like our souls are made to push, right? To challenge ourselves. I think it's a normal and natural desire to see how far we can go in life. Now, sometimes this gets tempered down, right? Like it starts to get something where, hey Kim, hey Joan, how are you? I almost didn't recognize your new last name. So that's, you call that your laser focus. Absolutely, right? We have to have a focus on what is unique about us, what we are uniquely qualified to do and say and teach and bring to market. But we have to have that intersect with solid marketing and sales strategy. Otherwise, we're going to become part of the noise, right? Like, and even if we get attention, I'll never forget this one person who was like what I call a secret client, and she came to me, and she had like this enviable media reel. I'm talking like Cosmo multiple times, and and she's making $400 a month. I was shocked. It was the first question I asked, right? Because I'm thinking, what does she want me for? And she just had a lot of attention, and she loved what she did, but she was making zero money, right? Or I've worked with people who have 250,000 people on their mailing list and they've never sold anything, right? And they're just not sure. And it's like, listen, you can have all the attention in the world, and that's an amazing start. And I don't want to dismiss that. It's hard to get people's attention these days. I saw somebody saying the other day, like somebody called her an attention whore, and she's like, yeah, like, it's what I do, right? I have to get their attention, but I say it a little bit differently. It's if they're not paying attention, then they're never going to pay you anything else, right? First, they got to pay attention. And so I think that that's a big lesson for us, to make sure that we're doing both, right? We are flowing, but we're also having the discipline. Like it's a hustle and flow intersection. And a lot of times, just like with a runner's high, we get to that flow state where we're like, man, how did I ever not want to come out here and run today? How did I ever think that I was going to skip my workout today? Because you push past that little barrier of resistance, and that's really where you find your zone, right? That's really where you find your zone. And for me, I feel like this has worked for me in a couple different ways. Certainly over the trajectory of my business, right? There was definitely a period of hustle, like sustained, deliberate, exhausting hustle. Now, I didn't use mindset techniques that could have helped me out of that. I didn't do some of the things that I know to do now. I think I could have definitely, I know I could have because I do it with clients all the time. I could have shortened my learning curve for sure, but I was stubborn and whatever. And I had this like discipline of hard work and, earnest money and all of that in my head. And so it served me well. I don't regret it. I just know I could have shortened that phase in my business. But so definitely on the other side of the hustle, on the other side of that like disciplined, gutting it out approach, I found the life that I have now, or I created the life I have now, where it's definitely more flow based. It's definitely more ease than like push, right? But I actually build in push and hustle into my business now, right? I challenge myself, not because like a bills do, but like I did in the older days, but like because I want to see how far I can go, because I want to challenge myself, because I've got to push through what mere mortals would stop at in order to reach my goals, right? And so it's a challenge for me. I never want to always avoid the hustle, always avoid the disciplined hustle, because there's so much juice found in that, right? And so so there's one more thing I wanted to say about the flow and the hustle. Oh, so even when you push past that, so you still have to have the mechanics involved. You still have to have that marketing. You have to know like the basics, right? Like, who are you talking to, right? Are they able and willing to pay to have the problem solved that you solve, right? Like, are they able and willing to pay? You still got to have the common sense marketing thing out there. So as an example, like, I was a homeschooler for a long time and I couponed, right? And I loved couponing. It was like a challenge, right? I couldn't believe it. The first time I went to like a Harris Teeter at like midnight, and I had these coupons and I got a bunch of stuff, and largely I donated it to a food shelter or food thing, because I didn't even eat it, but I got paid to take it home. I couldn't believe it, right? And it was kind of like this challenge for me, but I haven't done that in years. I haven't homeschooled in years. But when you are a marketer of a business, which is what you are, you shouldn't be pushing out there couponing and sailing and all of that, waiting for a sale and all that, because what happens is you have to think with a marketing mind. You now have to think, I have just given permission to everybody that they know I wait for the sale. They know I'm couponing. They know I'm waiting for 50% off. I've just given my market an opportunity to be like, I'll wait till it goes half off when I sell something, right? You got to think with a marketer's brain. You got to think about those kind of things. You don't want to skip over that and just think, I'm just going to be who I am. No, who you're being is telling a story, right? You want it to be authentic, but you do want it to be deliberate, right? You want it to be very, very deliberate. You cannot afford to just go willy-nilly and not have some strategy behind like how you're showing up, right? Like that is going to cause a messy business essentially, and not in a good way. The other part that I wanted to say was, the hustle and flow barrier, I guess, or that transition happened over the trajectory of my business, but it also sometimes happens in a day, right? Like where I sit down and I go to write something, and typically I'm waiting for that moment, right? Like I've got a lot that's going to come out of me, but sometimes I like start and I'm like uninspired and I'm like, this is like boring. I'm not really sure if anybody's going to read this or whatever, but you know what? I push through the same way I'm getting ready to push through on a run, right? I push through because eventually I'm going to get into a flow zone. And sometimes I do go back up and I delete a couple paragraphs because I like went off course or whatever, but I push through. So if you have the mechanics in place in your business, which definitely, obviously we teach in Women Who Wow, right? The mechanics of how you're showing up and offers and packaging and pricing and blah, 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 right? And actually a lot of that's covered in P-School, which is free for anybody who's not a Women Who Wow member. But we do have the mechanics there. We also have the mindset, because I think that's so important. That's what would have shortchanged my own struggle, right? Like if I had the right mindset, if I had embraced ease a little bit earlier, a little bit easier. If I had, just changed kind of who I was really and what I was thinking about money and success and all of that, it would have come easier to me and it would have come faster to me. So we definitely have that within Women Who Wow. But I don't want to remove the necessary hustle, because there's so much to be found there, right? There's so much that you learn about yourself, about your market, about your message, right? About your products when you are out there gutting it out. When you're saying, you know what, like the goal is flow. The goal is the runner's high, but I know I'm not going to get that on the couch. I'm going to push through. I'm going to get out there and I'm going to start hustling. I'm going to have a disciplined approach, because on the other side of that, that's where the freedom is. And it's funny because the phrase, only the disciplined are free, is something that my first coach, Steve Chandler, used to say. Only the disciplined are free. And I hated that phrase for a long time because I hated discipline, right? I don't like rules or laws, and I certainly don't like being disciplined. And so like discipline, only the disciplined are free. And that like stuck with me because my goal is freedom, absolute freedom, and nothing short. It's like you're never almost free or partway free, right? You're not. You're either free or you're not free. And, so like the discipline, only the disciplined are free. Like I marinated on that so much. And I remember thinking of my Aunt Betty, right? So my Aunt Betty is, it's my Meemaw's sister. So she's my great aunt, and she's like gorgeous, right? And I don't know how old she is. Let's see. My Meemaw is probably 80. How old am I? I'm 42. She's probably 83, something like that. So my Aunt Betty is maybe 80, right? She's gorgeous. She's fit. She puts her makeup on. She does her hair. She always wears her jewelry. You know what I'm saying? Like she just is one of those women. And I remember like from as early as I would pay attention, which was probably like college or something. But she was very disciplined with her eating. She's never gone, her weight's never like really fluctuated. She's always been like this perfect person. And, she's disciplined. She's disciplined with her eating, right? So she'll eat like dessert at Christmas, and she'll eat dessert when she's out or whatever, but she'll usually have like a bite or two, right? And her discipline and the way she eats all the year round gives her the freedom to do whatever, to splurge sometimes. Discipline with finances works the same way, right? It's like only the disciplined are free. Well, when you're disciplined with your savings, then you're more free. You can be more free with your spending, right? So it's like a phase that you go through. And so this is just something that I wanted to share today, because I do see a lot about the the flow-based business. I talk about that. I love it. But I do know it comes on the other side of discipline. It's you don't have freedom without discipline. You don't have the runner's high without the first couple of miles, right? So anyway, that's what I came to say today. I appreciate you guys joining me live. I appreciate the ones who will watch this later on. If you have any questions or comments or something that you'd like me to cover or tackle in another Coaching from the Couch episode, let me know. And I'll be sure to cover that. If you are a seriously driven woman entrepreneur, but you are not yet a member of Women Who Wow, we should remedy that. So m.me/Women Who Wow. Definitely message me. Let me know what you're about. Let me know about your business. And we will talk soon. See you guys. Happy Friday.